All right, I'm hoping this is working. It's my first time doing a Twitch stream, so if it doesn't work, I can have some fun talking to myself and figure out how to do it better next time. I'm not actually sharing the live stream with anybody because I just want to see if it. Oh, I'm hearing myself. Maybe from the preview. There we go. Okay. That was fun. So yeah, I'll put this online later. Probably upload it to YouTube, and then if this functions correctly, then I will share about future streams uh, that I do. So I'm working on this project called TrainRemote, which is going to be a software as a service for personal trainers. It's originally created for my actual personal trainer, Jimmy Jennings, but I'm also going to make it in a way that I can potentially have other trainers using it. For when a client moves away and they want to do training remotely, I want them to be able to upload videos and then give personalized training plans based on just you do this many sets of this exercise or this many sets of that exercise. And so for each client, they'll say, here's your 3 trainings per week. And each training is, this many sets of this configuration, this many sets of this configuration, and on and on. It's really just kind of in my free time. I'm just doing it as a favor to my trainer, and then also eventually, I'm learning things with it, and then maybe it'll turn into a real software as a service later. Right now, I'm just using it to learn stuff. So I use Laravel to set it up, and then Laravel Spark to do the authentication, everything, and then I wanted to learn some Vue. So I had this screen here that I wanted to create, and it was the perfect opportunity for Vue, where essentially I want the trainer to be able to create an assignment. So you imagine you've got your trainee, Matt Stauffer. It's day 2 of the week, and it's the week beginning November 22nd. So every single day that they are going to assign trainings, they're going to need to assign this. So in this particular context, they're assigning a series of sets, which each have a number of repetitions, and then each set is going to contain a certain number of exercises, which will have a weight, possibly, or a number of repetitions, or something else like that. Or a duration if it's like jogging or something. So I just wanted to learn Vue.js as I went. So here's how far I made it in about an hour and a half. I had done a tiny little bit of digging around, but this is basically the first time I've ever written Vue. So I'm not a noob at programming, but I'm a brand spanking noob at Vue.js. I've watched a couple tutorials in Laracast. I've read through the docs a little bit, not extensively. So I would never normally put a video out with myself at the very limited ability level that I'm at right now, but I figured, what the heck, I can share what I'm learning as I go. So you add a set, and let's say we're going to do 3 repetitions of this set. And so set 1, repeat 3x. And then let's add an exercise. And the first exercise, you see we only have 2. We're going to choose jogging for 5 minutes. And then we'll do another exercise that is rope pull downs. We'll do 15 rope pull downs at 60 pounds. And so that's your first set. You do that. So doing this 3 times means jog, rope pull down, jog, rope pull down, jog, rope pull down, and then you add the next set. What are you going to do after that? And not every personal trainer works this way, but mine does. So I figured I'd make something that fits him. And at the end, you save the assignment. And none of this is hooked into real data. So this took me quite a while to build. So in this first video, all I'm going to do is just introduce what I built and how I figured it out, and learn from people all the ways that I did it wrong. So we're using Laravel Elixir, so it's just mixing in the high-level app. I did create a special SAS file for this, and that right now all of the code is actually, that's not the right, what is it, resources app.js, I think. There's nothing in here. I don't even know why I need to show you. There's nothing in here. Everything is on the page other than the SAS, and eventually I'll extract all the other pieces out, the components and everything. But right now everything just lives there, so let's go there. Assignment create blade.php. So what I did here was I just built out basically the first thing I did was I built out the bootstrap of what it would look like when it functioned, as if it actually had real data in it. And then piece by piece I said for each component of this thing, there's an exercise, right? And then there's a set, and then there's a workout or assignment. I want to create a Vue component. It just seemed to be the way that made the most sense for me, and so I set them up that way. So when you get to add assignment for trainee, and then you got a button up top that says add set. So that's like the first thing you run into. And then there's a well, and the well is the containment of basically all of the modules, all the components we're going to have for this particular assignment. And then within there. And then we've got the modal for add set, and we'll look at that in a second. And then within that well, it iterates over all the sets of v4 set and sets, and for each set it pulls into the set components. I actually am curious whether I could drop the fact that I have this div wrapper around it and just try this. Let's actually just try that. Set v4 equals set in sets, and then drop this. Does it still work when we do this? Bam, look at that. See, this is why I love Vue. It just works the way it should. And then down here, we've got a quick if that says if there's no sets added yet. So if sets.length equals 0, it says no sets added yet. And all this is doing is passing in a ridiculous number of variables, which I probably should have passed in a certain other way. I don't know, we'll learn, that the sets and the exercises need access to. And then down at the bottom, we've got a save assignment. And all it's doing is just saying set all these classes and then set this one class conditionally. And all that does is just make it so that save assignment is grayed out. I mean, I didn't fully gray it out, but it changes color the moment you add your first set. Cool. So let's go into our individual pieces. So we've got a template for the exercise. And this is basically just the actual HTML that you'd use for an exercise. But of course, there's pieces here. I don't know if I actually let you exercise the name in the end. I changed the exercise name in the end, did I? I'm almost entirely certain I didn't do that. Let's actually just drop that. Edit exercise. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about doing that and didn't do it. So, okay. So, there's the exercise name, and then there's a button on the right that says delete the exercise. And as you can see, they're pulling in. I'm using the @ sign because in Laravel's blade syntax uses these same squiggly braces, so you got to put the @ in front of it to escape it out, so it'll actually send it to Vue as that. Yeah, so we basically just have our wrapper. We've got the heading that says the exercise name has a delete button. The delete button calls a method that says remove exercise, and we're passing in both the set and the exercise because you got to remove the exercise from the set. We'll look at those in a second. The body just says, show how many reps or duration it is. I'll probably do some conditionals so you can decide whether it's reps on this exercise or exercise. And then we've got a span wrapping the weight that says only if the weight is set do we actually show it. Then we have another template. And again, what I did was I built all these and then piece by piece I extracted templates from them. So I extracted components. I first extracted the set, and then I extracted the exercise from the set, and then I also extracted the modal. Which I just stole the one from the Vue.js example page, or Vue, or however you say it. So when you get into the set, we're passing in num, so set number 1, set number 2, set number 3. I had to do some Googling on that, and I learned that every loop has $index, which is the index number, 0-based index, which is why I add 1 here for any v4 or any other loop. So it's set num and then repeat, and now we've got a set available to us. So set.repetition, set.anything else we have in the set we can access with the dot notation. The first thing you can do is remove it. So we pass in remove set. Now you would think that just like before, because remember when we said remove exercise, it was remove exercise set exercise. So this you'd think would be remove set sets set, right? I couldn't get that to work, and maybe we'll talk about that in a later one. So I ended up having to do a special remove set that used, I think, as events to pass it on up the chain. So I lost my OBS. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So we've got a button here that says on, just like above, when you click the add button, show the modal for it, and then we actually define the modal. And this modal is using a normalized kind of modal structure that's the same template for all of them, and it provides slots that you can put content in for the header, the body, and the footer. And this is something I got off the Vue.js website because I was like, hey, I need a modal, and they're like, hey, we have one. So I can pass in header, add exercise, body's the whole form, and then footer is basically the add button and the cancel button. For these form elements, it's basic Bootstrap stuff. You see I'm binding the content there to the model, just the variable name, add exercise name. And then for this particular one, I'm actually passing in the list of available exercises, which again, there's probably some better way to do it globally. Here, I literally just pass it through from the global scope into the set, so it has available exercises in there. Notice that I passed in sets.sync. That was the thing that I thought was going to allow me to do remove set. And it didn't work. So I'm pretty sure I can actually just delete that, give up, and this thing should still function appropriately. Come on. Sorry, my OBX keeps disappearing. There we go. Okay. So we hit add set, this many repetitions, and then delete set. Yeah, it works fine. So we're not actually relying on that anymore. Sadly, frustratingly. And then what else have we gotten into? So we iterate over all the default exercises, we pass it in. And then we've got got the rest of the form controls. Also, it's annoying to me. There's two things that were annoying to me. Three annoying in the pop-up. One, I can't hit escape, which I just haven't addressed yet, so I need to do that. Two was I couldn't just hit 1.5 enter. So what I did was, and again, I think there's a better way to do this, but this was the only one I could figure out in 5 minutes, was to actually bind keyup.enter to add the exercise on every single form, and then keyup.enter on the set to bind adding the set. So it actually allows me to do it. Again, I don't think that's probably the right way to do it. There's probably a more idiomatic way to do it. And then, but the other thing is the fact that I can't get it to autofocus. And I was doing just a little bit of work earlier today to try and do something where, I think I deleted it, but basically, right now when you click on a modal, it just does an inline expression that says show add exercise modal to true, which is what triggers the modal opening. So what I was thinking about doing that I might do later is instead have a function or method called show exercise modal, and it does two things. One of them is it does this, and the second one is it does like a tick, which I think, if I read correctly, a Stack Overflow answer means delay for a second, and then it grabs the first form field element and then autofocuses it. But as you can tell, this is all just kind of rolling around in my head. I haven't actually done it yet. And same thing here. Add exercise weight, vModel, add exercise. Okay. And then the add button runs the actual add exercise, and it passes in the set because we're adding an exercise to the set. Once we're out of the modal, then it's actually iterating over all the exercises, and just like we did with all the sets, it's passing in all the information it needs to be able to render it. And then finally, here's the modal template, which I stole directly from the Vue website. I just renamed them a little bit so they didn't conflict with Bootstrap modal. So we pull in our CSS file, pull in Vue.js, and we can create our components. So this component is the base component that all the modals are using. All we're doing is requiring that there's a show prop. I see type definition, which is cool, but I don't know what the other type options are, so I just didn't set them in these other ones. So then let's go up the stack. Exercise runs from exercise template, which you grab. It's got props of exercise and set that are required, and they two-way sync, and it's got a single method, remove it. And what we're doing is I pulled an underscore, and when it's a simple one like this, we just say, if we pass in a set and exercise, we just say set.exercises equals, and then it's basically the same thing with exercise pulled out of it. So that's a pretty normal array exclusion. I tried doing that same thing for set, and it didn't work. I figured I would just remove set would be function set sets, and then sets equals underscore without sets comma set. It didn't work for me. So again, I must have been doing something wrong. Here's a set. Notice that this set, unlike this one, doesn't just have props, it also has its own data, because this data is only useful within the context of this set. I learned how to do this midway. It's possible that there's some data I should have been doing on the exercise and just didn't. Probably all the exercise fields, actually. No, this is... Oh, right, because this goes one up. Never mind. Ignore everything I just said. And then here are all the properties we're setting in. Some of them aren't syncing, they're just passing information in. And then here's the add exercise one. So we're adding this exercise into the exercises, array. So, and we're getting all the information out of these vModels that were bound to those inputs. We're resetting the vModels to null, so the inputs get reset, and then we're hiding the modal. Otherwise, the modal would stay open and the values would actually still stay filled. And then, I don't know why remove set is on the exercise. Oh, this is on the set. Okay. So yeah, so the set has its own remove set button. And this is where I was trying to remove it, and it wouldn't work. So I ended up dispatching a remove set event up to, up. I guess dispatch goes up the chain rather than down, and I passed the set along with it. And then I registered the component, the exercise component, as a subcomponent of it. So I'm just, as you can see, I'm nesting. I put sets inside of the root, and then I put exercise in the set. So here's the root. This show modal, I don't think we're actually using it. I think that was the thing that I used from the example, but yeah, there's no actual show modal anymore. The show add set modal, which is the toggle that this is toggling to make this modal pop up. Add set reps is this model right here. And then sets is the actual core data that we're using that actually is displaying, what's the current state of our assignment. And then available exercises, of course, this would later be pulled from some, REST API, but right now this is our list of exercises. And then there's a method add set that just, once again, pushes the thing that you just did onto the sets and then sets its value to modal to clears the modal. And then this right here listens to that remove set thing and then does the without. And for some reason it's working here. So I'm doing the exact same exclusion that I was doing before, and then it also embeds the set component. That's a lot of stuff, but this is basically what I've learned so far. I basically have a component for each unique thing. I've got a modal component, I've got a component for a set, I've got a component for an exercise. These buttons are triggering modals that customize the modal component. The delete one is inconsistent in how I was able to make it work, but essentially runs an underscore array exclude. And all these popovers basically just set V models on each of these, and when you hit the button, it manually goes in and grabs this stuff from a V model. So this isn't a form. I'm interested to see if there's the idea of like wrapping multiple inputs as a form and then add button instead of grabbing them manually, just saying submit form and then doing something with them. So I want to see if that's a thing. I'd like to get the escape key working. I'd like these to be less ugly, but that's later. What else did I want? Oh, autofocus. I want to get autofocus. But I think after that, the next big piece is going to be getting it actually functioning. So normally I think about a REST API, but I'm really interested in this could be this crazy nested structure. So I'm interested in the idea of submitting it as JSON somewhere to some API. And I don't have a lot of experience using. I usually use a very traditional kind of post structure, which would not fit very well here. Unless, yeah. So basically, I'm going to have to send JSON over, and just it's basically going to be the sets parameter, which is down here. Sets. It's basically just going to grab sets and then post it over somewhere and say, hey, you created the assignment, great, and then redirect you to some other page. And you can see this is the only Vue component in the whole page. The whole rest of the site is just basic Bootstrap and forums and Laravel stuff. So, and they're ugly and simple. But this one, I was like, it's not even worth building this one in anything other than the final framework I'm going to use. I probably will do some optimization eventually to get it, because this is like, while this makes sense, if you imagine a trainer doing this on his iPhone while he's like waiting for somebody to finish something, that's probably not going to happen. I've got a very specific trainer in mind who's not going to do this. So once I get it actually working, I'm probably going to have to do some user experience work to figure out how can I simplify the representation of this information. There's a lot of wasted space and kind of wasted just mental capacity here. So I'll have to do that. But yeah, so that's how far I've made it with Vue so far. If I do put this on Twitter, if you check this out, let me know if you've got solutions to all those things. I mean, I'm confident that an hour of Googling would solve 90% of those things. It's my first time doing it. So I Googled every single thing that I did here. I tried things and broke them and fixed them because I like learning this way better than like knowing it all up front. But I also am looking forward to the day when Jeffrey Way finishes the Laracast tutorial, so I can know at least a little bit more going into these things. So yeah, so hopefully sometime this weekend or something, I will both stream some more, but I also will actually tell people when I'm streaming so they can actually join it rather than just watching it later. So now here comes the process of me learning how to turn this off